Kia ora everyone, good morning. Nice and early. Last time in the first series of Boring Breakfast, it was dark when we started, so we're on the up. And for those that have come back, thanks for still coming to see us. I can report it's much more comfortable up here, not pregnant, so things are good. A really exciting event this morning. It's wonderful, I think, I certainly feel that the tides are turning in the sense that the last few years have been pretty tough for hospitality, for lots of businesses, for lots of individuals, and everyone's been under pressure. Obviously, there's a different type of pressure coming with recessionary pressures at the moment, but it's a really cool time, I think, to have this conversation about leaving that behind and what's coming up and what's ahead, and to reflect on what we've learnt and how we're all doing. So welcome to both of you. It would be really wonderful if you could kick off by introducing yourselves.
Cool. I'm Ben. Hi everyone. Half of Beabea's bakery that we're just opening. The other half's over there, that's Sarah. What am I? I guess I'm a baker. Been a baker for ages, that's who I am.
Cool. And maybe tell us a little bit about Beabea's. Obviously, you made the most adorable miniature pastries for this morning. But yeah, let the room know about your new bizzo.
Yeah, so we're opening up in Westmere, and we are sort of trying to a lot of people have come in and sort of have asked, are you going to be French or are you going to be German? Nah, man, I'm Kiwi. So we want to do, classic Kiwi stuff, and then sort of make it a bit fancier using, some of the techniques and stuff that I've learned over the years, but still make it quite approachable would be the goal. So that'll be the goal with Beabea's.
How many days a week are you going to be open?
We'll be open 5 days, yep. Maybe 7 later on, but we'll just don't want to kill ourselves.
Overexert.
And then, so we'll try and stay open on the weekends and have Monday, Tuesday off.
Nice.
Yeah.
Henry, tell us a little bit about yourself and your restaurant.
So my name is Henry Onesemo. I am the other half of Tala. That's my other half over there. Debbie. Actually, she's probably more like 75%. She does all the...
It's not exactly 50-50.
She does a lot of work. But we just opened a Samoan restaurant in Parnell. And it's right across from a Fijian restaurant. So I think... next year there's going to be a New Win restaurant and a Tongan restaurant.
Wicked.
Hopefully, but that is the goal.
And tell us about the concept of Tala.
So the concept of Tala is, for this menu, we wanted to stay with. We took an abstract approach to the food, where we wanted Samoans to be in the know. So in order for abstract to work, people that get the reference are the cool ones. So, for Samoans to come into a fine dining space and be comfortable, to be in their element, and then having to explain what's on the plate, that was kind of important for me and my wife. Because I remember my first time in a fine dining restaurant, and, at first that, just entering in, I felt out of place a little bit. But, with Tala, I wanted the first time out to be, to really explore that comfortability that Samoans can come in and just feel, hey, we can be in here. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah. And they can be the ones that are like, explaining the dishes. Oh, this is because and we've seen that now in the restaurant. It's kind of fun to watch.
Awesome. Yeah. Could you please maybe explain? I've heard from Debbie this beautiful journey that you provide for people when they come in, and the way that you've designed the experience. I think that would be really wonderful for people to hear.
Yeah. So like we redesigned where the we accept people at a certain spot of the restaurant when you first come in, and then we asked the designer to design a threshold from that room into the dining space, because we knew that you know, it sucks when you have a booking and then, you know, the average customer is probably like, they're working out already how much time they're going to spend at the restaurant. If the guest they're going to meet is already at the restaurant waiting for them, or are they going to be early? So this room that we have in the front is, you know, a place to be like, dude, just calm down. It's okay. Like, nobody's waiting for you. You know, the food is still here. You know, yes, your friends are. If you are late, you know, it's fine. Your friends, you know, are not even thinking about you because we have already taken care of them. So leave that at that space, and then we designed it where the entrance actually is. I like that threshold, by the way. It's pretty cool. So, but it's kind of like it's designed like that, where it really does separate the other room from the other room, and that kind of thing comes about like I like it in shows or in movies when they do this shot and the character is in that space, and then you know something is going to happen, or like the arc of the story is going to change, and so that's what I want to happen without even, you know, without trying too hard. When
it's kind of like an energy reset.
That's the one.
Yeah.
She read my mind.
And I didn't realize about this part of Samoan hospitality where you're often given a drink in a round bowl as an offering.
Yeah.
Is that a welcome, or typically that's a welcome thing, is it?
Yeah. So usually they would assume that you've traveled a long way, and then, you know, the offering of a drink is very typical. Whether you have driven, you know, nowadays, you know, you might have driven or caught the bus. Someone would always assume that you walked the whole way. So yeah, so you
must be thirsty.
You must be thirsty.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, in Samoan heat, you would be very thirsty. Yeah. So and we call it the falikali malo, which is now loosely translate to hotel, but it's a place to accept guests.
So like if I roll up to your house, this is completely common for the first thing you do to offer me a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we kind of do that too, but not in such a beautiful way. Ben, could you tell us a little bit about where you earned your baking stripes? I quite liked your description of your first employer.
Yeah, he might be listening. No. No, he was good. He was good. That was in Palmy when I was, you know, mucking around.
Avoiding school.
Yeah, avoiding school. Being a bit of a troublemaker and yeah, getting into, I don't know. Not it makes it sound really bad, but it wasn't that bad. So I worked with him. He was like a pretty full-on French dude, and I had to be really, really alert at 3 a.m. And so that sort of straightened me out quite a bit. But that was great for me, I think. Like a little boot camp almost, pastry boot camp.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of benefit of working in hospitality outside of earning a wage or a skill. I think there's something about showing up every day, and you kind of have to park a lot at the door and get on with the job because it's very hands-on. And so I kind of, I think the idea of just pressing on and, you know, of course it's going to straighten you out because it's pretty rigid at that point, isn't it? And it's hard physical labour and you're learning a skill. So I imagine you learnt a lot of your pastry skills from there, did you?
Yeah. He actually tried to give me an apprenticeship through like the Kiwi baking industry, but because he didn't have the like the Kiwi standards, he wasn't able to, and so he sort of took it upon himself to sort of. He used to call me his apprentice, but I wasn't. But I sort of got most of the learnings that I would have if I was.
And then where to from there? If we're on your Kai journey, you're now going to open a beautiful bakery in Auckland. What's the space in between?
Cruised around a little bit. Went down to Wellington. Worked at a big French bakery there for a little while. Did bread and pastry. Tried to make sure I was always doing bread and pastry, so I didn't sort of just stay in one spot. Just because I really enjoy both, really. And then, went to Gramercy in Wellington. Did some quite refined pastry stuff there, more sourdough stuff, and that was quite a cool experience because it was quite a small team, and we weren't doing huge numbers. It was the first place that I worked at where it was just slow down and just make it 110%. Yeah. And that was really, really cool. Because normally in bakery, it's you make money when you're doing big volume. So often it's people start out small, but then you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when you're huge, it's really hard to keep the quality when you're doing so much quantity.
And I imagine hard to keep a breadth of skill because you end up just making lots of one thing.
Yeah, totally.
So after Wellington?
After Wellington, came up to Auckland and basically just came to Daily Bread. Yeah, I've been there for the last 4 years. Well, I'm not there anymore. And yes, started off in Point Chev there, just doing a little bit of everything, and they've been growing really, really quickly. And I let them know that I wanted to sort of have a bit more ownership of something, and so they, when they expanded, they sort of put me in charge of the pastry production over there, and then that was really cool. So I've been pretty spoilt for the last couple of years, just starting work at 7 a.m. and just playing with Excel really.
Number crunching.
So
what do you think it is about pastry and bread that grabs you? Why do you like cooking those specific things?
I really enjoy repetition and making little incremental changes in the repetition, and then seeing how big the changes can be, and being able to do those every day and then making things just a little bit better every single day is just so nice. And it's kind of cool that it's after each day it's just gone as well, so that you can sort of start fresh each day. It's not I don't know.
I can totally see how that appeals to a certain personality, this is the thing that I like doing, and it's very particular, and then it starts and then it's finished. It's awesome. Henry, can we talk about your childhood food experiences? I think interestingly, we certainly don't have any experience of fine dining Samoan cuisine in Auckland, but I'm not even really familiar with a lot of the rituals and the flavours that your current menu refers to. So if you could run us through some of your favourite food memories.
Yeah, so I think it's more of how the food was eaten instead of the food itself is the memory. Because if you imagine going to a buffet, right? And then you pile every little thing on the plate. So in Samoan food, the way Samoan eats is kind of like that. It's not a shared plate style, but you're having fish, pork, lamb, chop suey, taro, all on the same plate. And so to the untrained eye, it looks like a huge pile of food of one thing, but in Samoan, no, it's a lot of little bites of everything, which is why, I think, the style that we have at Tala is more conducive to the way Samoan eats, where little bites of everything offered, a variety.
That's such an interesting, because I have a few Samoan friends, and the thing that I know about is quantity.
Yeah.
Like, it is rude to not fill everyone up, so that's interesting.
So, yeah. And, this, I didn't know I was poor until I went to the States, I'm like, I thought I had a lot, growing up. But then I was like, oh, no, I did not. But no, we never grew up wanting in Samoa. Like, there was always enough. I felt like when I was 17, I no longer met the weight requirement in Samoa, so they kicked me out. No, I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't just the weight, it was the attitude. But I'm kidding. So yeah, but most of the strongest memories is probably the smells, the textures, and the variety. I think the flavor is a little bit skewed as far as what my memory gives me, and having visited 9 years ago again, and me and my wife having lived there, it was completely different as well.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't that old Samoan traditional food that I grew up eating. It was something completely different.
So it's evolved in what direction?
I think they've tried to, I think the attempt of serving Samoan food the European way has probably caused the change a little bit. For example, like let's say the oka, which is like a ceviche with coconut cream. Yeah, but they would try to serve it to you as a single dish, which would never happen. You would have oka with fish that's been in the umu, a fish that's been fried. So you'd have you wouldn't just have it alone. So I think they're trying to make it in huge amounts, like you said. So when you do it in volume like that, everything kind of goes. It's watered down, I think.
Okay, and why the decision to open Tala as a fine dining, top of the market kind of experience? Why did you decide to elevate Samoan cuisine in New Zealand?
Because it's the only way to tell this, with anything new, you want to educate. So we knew that we had to tell the stories of each plate that we sent out, each bite that the guest is getting. We wanted to educate them on it. So it's the only format that would make sense in telling that story would be fine dining.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful experiential space that you've built, isn't it? Like the detail, the texture on the walls, the toiletries in the bathrooms, the candles. It's a really beautiful experiential thing, and I think that's how you educate people, is you capture them and then they remember.
Yeah, and like for the first thing that they get, like we serve like fruits, I don't know if you've ever been to, any of the islands, but you would get fruits, So we'd have like apple with sumac, and then we have like a pineapple, and then a cucumber with plum powder. But it's stacked up, like a tower. And then we give them a wooden fork. And the wooden fork is not conducive for eating. And the way that we stacked it up, it's going to be hard for them to work on it. But in Samoa, we eat with our hands. So the whole idea from the beginning, from the get-go, is to have them struggle with the cutlery.
Jokes.
So, and it's so nice to sit and watch them like,
yeah.
And we're all like, but some people, once you cross that threshold of like, you're not trying to belong in a fine dining place and just use your hands. And I'm like, good on you, don't ever try to change.
I think that was probably most wonderful fine dining experience I had was when David Chang first opened Momofuku Ko, like 10 years ago in New York, and I'd like saved all my pennies and booked like months in advance and got there with my sister. And you walk in expecting, because there's only 12 seats, that it's going to be pretentious. Yeah. And it was like they had like hip hop blaring and the chefs were like yarning to us, and we were like arrived a bit hungover, and it was just it was just like this beautiful experience of everybody having a nice time together, rather than feeling, like you said, out of place or like you're supposed to be something else than you are.
Yeah, because you know it's not working. You know that you literally look at it and it's like it's a cucumber sitting on a pineapple. Like it's gonna flip over, but this person is still gonna try and use the fork.
Yeah.
Like 80% of the customers are gonna do it. I'm like, oh, but if you find a little perspective to be yourself and just be like, I'll just be me, and reach in. It's fun little. It's fun for us guys in the kitchen to watch, and but I feel like whoever uses their hands and for that first plate is probably the winner. They are winning in life, I think.
Well, I think we're not really a New Zealand culture. It's quite casual, isn't it? So it's a nice icebreaker too.
Yeah.
Ben, tell us about the menu that you've chosen to open with, decisions you've made around what to put on it.
We're not 100% sure on the menu, to be honest, but we've got most of it down. We're just going for, Kiwi classics that we like.
Hang on, when you say Kiwi classics, like cannelés and croissants and like, or like Marmite and cheese, or?
Yeah, I guess cannelé is not a Kiwi classic. Yeah, that's true.
But the savoury one that I just had was so delicious.
That's Cesar's
brainchild.
Yeah. From their favourite BYO restaurant. The cheesy, what's it called?
Cheesy miso. It was sort of like a play on the Marmite stroll.
Yeah, it's umami vibe. Yeah, it was delicious.
But yeah, I guess I really like cannelé, so I guess that's why we're doing cannelé.
Will it be a limited menu and then you add stuff on later?
Yeah. We'll try and keep it pretty lean, I guess, because it will just be the two of us making stuff. So we'll keep it pretty lean, and we want to keep everything like as good as we can. But we're definitely going to do some pies. So I really like just the classic steak and cheese. So we're going to do that, and then we'll have a few other, maybe a bit more fancy sort of options as well.
And the building is really beautiful when I popped in. So in Westmere there was a bakery for a really long time, like 30 years, right? And the walls are white tiles with big, beautiful blue old detailing. Did that was one of the reasons you liked the space, was it?
Yeah, totally. We've had a few people come in and ask us if we're going to keep the tiles. We're like, man, yeah, we're not going to get rid of the tiles.
Yeah. Very bakery appropriate.
Yeah. So we sort of took everything off the walls as much as we could, and we're trying to sort of make them a bit of a feature. For the last 30 years it's been a bakery, and then before that it was a butcher, and then before that I think it was a fishmonger, like a really long time ago. But it's like it's over 100 years old, this building.
Kind of a dreamy spot for a baker to kick off, I think. And Henry, what about you with the umu? That must be a beautiful thing to have for your first restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really important for us to do that, at least to showcase, a Samoan cooking technique, and having had that open fire space that Pastor had, like I knew exactly that an umu was to be the thing to go in there. For this season, we're just gonna go with the chuk, humble beginnings, and then we're gonna see where we can take it from there. We're kind of stretching the limits of how big I can go with it, So, as long as I don't burn the place down, it'll be fine.
Super exciting for guests to see you do an umu from beginning to end, and also nice to have that as part of the fit out, because it is not cheap to put fire in, is it?
Yeah, it's not cheap. And the anxiety too of, if the chicken's gonna be raw, like
You're like, ta-da! Yeah.
But
have you just got thermometers everywhere?
No. So we know the chicken is done when the ancestors are whispering in my ear.
Yeah, nice.
No, I'm just kidding. That's what I tell the...
Definitely run that
though. I think the chicken is ready, G. Yeah, that's pretty much how we know it's done.
How is everyone feeling about plans to keep yourself sane now that you're opening new things? Do you have a plan for work-life balance? Lol.
Not really.
2 days a week closed though?
Yeah.
That sounds like a bit of a vibe.
But we'll be in there every day because we've got to feed that starter as well. But yeah, hopefully it's a good summer and we can sort of clock off early and go for a swim. I think that'd be great. But yeah, how are we going to keep that work-life balance? I guess keeping it lean and then just being nice to each other as well in the kitchen.
Remembering you're on the same team.
So for us at Tala, we're only doing 4 days to start off until next year, and then for hiring, we made sure the most important question we asked when we hired people is, what are they doing on their days off, and what hobbies, and are they actively pursuing it? So, like we have, our larder chef, he does voguing. So he's been off almost every Saturday doing his thing.
Voguing?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he vogues and he balls. He's competing in Sydney this weekend.
Cool.
One our senior CDP is jiu-jitsu. Another one, my sous chef, is a gym head. And we made sure that they are actively doing this because also it provides, if they are forced to improvise in those situations, whether it be voguing, jiu-jitsu, or in the gym, that skill does translate in the creative side when it comes to the kitchen. But it's kind of, everybody has commented that the kitchen kind of works really well. Together at Tala, and I think it's because of that. Forcing them to do things outside of the kitchen is probably the more sustainable way to go.
Like the headspace is good.
Yeah, the headspace is good. Like they come in,
and that's not exactly something that hospitality is famous for, is it? Particularly kitchens. So that's nice. Yeah. And what about both choosing to work with your romantic partners? Do we think it's brilliant or is it brave?
Yeah, it's going well.
I mean, she's here.
Everyone I've spoken to said, "Why don't do that? That's crazy." But I think we just need to make sure we have time for ourselves as well. So we're just not next to each other literally 24/7, and that's good for anyone, I think, for any relationship. But it's
maybe you need like a code word to stop talking shop. Like it's so tempting, I think, if you work together to bring all of the talk home, and then it's like it's in your head, and so it's what you're speaking about, but then it's also what they're speaking about.
Yes, Sarah's pretty good at reining me in, and we've got a rule: I'm not allowed to do emails in the bed, but I think we'll have to extend that a bit further so that we can just have a bit of us time as well.
Well, that's so true, isn't it? Because when you're doing something like you're doing, it is fanatical, and so it must be hard to put your spreadsheet down or however you plan it out. So I think there's wonderful things about working with people you love, isn't there? It's a bonus. There's trust. There's a whole lot of, you can be more direct than you would otherwise be at times because you're not afraid of losing what the relationship that you have with someone if it's just an employer-employee kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's awesome that everyone's chosen to do it.
Yeah, I mean, nah, this is not our first time working together. We worked together at Meredith's when we first came up. She was in the front doing admin work for him as well. And yeah, so I think, yeah, it's, it's like working with your best friend, basically.
I think it's quite, Debbie and I spoke about being kind of, both of us were former lawyers that moved back into hospitality or into hospitality. And there is a particular groove of the industry that's pretty different to working in other areas. Like for me, I remember, despite all of the flaws, and I didn't like law anyway, but the one thing that I think lawyers do really well is they say they're going to do something and then they do the thing they said they were going to do when they said they were going to do it, and that could not be more opposite to hospo. It's like you say something to someone and it's like maybe a suggestion and then you've probably got to chase it 5 times and then maybe you need someone else to chase it for you too, and so there's like some big adjustments, right? Yeah. But it means that you guys, what a great team to have the different skill sets and bring them together. I think when I left I would have said, I want nothing to do with law, but ultimately it's helpful with hospitality stuff because now running a hospitality business, you're basically expected to be like an HR whiz, a health and safety expert, an accountant, a baker. There's a lot that you're expected to know, and I think that it's really nice to have someone to share the load with. Yeah. Okay, what's everyone most excited about? If Beabea's becomes everything that you want it to be, Ben, what does that look like, and what will make you guys fist pump at the end of the day?
I guess hopefully we're going to be pretty busy, but we've sort of designed the space so that we can get a lot of customer feedback quite quickly because you sort of open the door and walk in and you're almost like you're inside the kitchen because it's super open plan. So, and because we're quite small as well, we'll be able to change quite quickly based on feedback but ideally we want to just be making stuff that we enjoy making to a high standard, and then having happy customers is what we really want. So we just want lots of smiling faces really, and then enough money to pay the bills, I guess. As well.
Yeah, that's the challenge. Awesome.
Yeah, but we're not looking to take over the world or with 100 shops or anything like that. We just want to just have our little slice, and
beautiful community where you are too. And I think that that's something we spoke about. Is it's very tempting in baking, like you said, that you need profitability because it's like oxygen. But then the more tempted you are to do bigger things, the less you're on the tools doing the thing that you love and that you're best at, then you can end up getting things out of balance. So I think that's nice that you guys are planning on building something that's a lovely lifestyle for you, because it is your business, but it's going to be a huge part of your life too, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't want to be in a position where I'm just on Excel anymore. So it'd be nice to be on the tools and actually making bread here.
Wicked. And Henry, what are you most excited about, looking forward to?
The next guy. I think the next Samoan chef is going to be the one that's going to really, really take Samoa to the next level. I think, we've done our part to trying to get the conversation started, but I think the next guy, I'm just excited for what he's going to bring to the table, what he's going to cook. He's out there, and I'm serious, and he's gonna come out swinging, and and I can't wait for that. I think he's, whether it be a little bit more, I want to see where, where he's gonna take it, and what style of Samoan food he's going to be focused on. But yeah, I'm excited for that guy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think there's a really, out of all of the things that we've learned and mistakes we've made in the last few years or pressure that we've been under, there's a lot of opportunity now, isn't there? I think that the staff, even though we've had to adjust the whole business model, they're now being paid quite well. So bring on the wicked next guy, because it's now a job that you can support your family with and have a nice life, rather than being a low paid job that, you know, at a point we were only attracting people that were shoving the hospitality to the side of whatever else they were doing. So I think there's a nice opportunity for some focus there.
Yeah, and I also feel like it should be, you know, I'm first generational Samoan for my family here to become a New Zealand citizen, and it's not lost on me that, you know, those that have come before me, you know, I think we sometimes miss the opportunity to celebrate the work that they've done, because me opening in Parnell was so easy, you know, like, and that's because of the work that they have done. Sometimes we kind of focus more on the negative and the struggle, which there is, but I think if we celebrate, you know, the wins as well, I think more Samoan chefs would pursue ownership instead of, you know, just being a workhorse, you know.
Yeah, well, hopefully they look to you, and if you keep saying it's easy, they'll be keen. Yeah, I definitely don't underestimate all the hard work, and I'm sure it hasn't been easy, but it's great that it feels like a pleasure to you, and I think it's wonderful that you're both trying to create something that means something. And I really think, and now we can all travel again, when you understand, when you see the kind of experts that we have in New Zealand in your field, it's really world class what you're producing, and it's not an easy market in New Zealand, so kind of take my hat off to everyone that's giving it a go, and it will be really wicked to see you both really successful. So thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity,
guys.
guys. Thank you.